Welcome, focused learners, to today's explainer. If you've ever looked at the path to becoming a medical professional and thought to yourself, how in the world do people actually make it through all that without completely losing their minds? Well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're breaking down a seriously inspiring and honestly super practical roadmap. Specifically, we're looking at Milan's journey through PA school down at UTRGV. We're going to unpack the strategies, the harsh realities, and the mindset you absolutely need to navigate this intense process. Okay, let's dive into this. So, how do you survive the chaos of medicine? It's a massive question, right? Because let's be real here. Whether you're a pre-PA student just starting to figure out your prereqs, or you're already neck deep in your healthcare training, the day-to-day reality is overwhelming. The sheer volume of information, those intense clinical simulations, the literally endless stacks of flashcards, it can feel like absolute chaos. Finding a way to not just survive all that, but to actually thrive, that's exactly what we're exploring today. To figure out how to survive, we really need to look at the unfiltered reality of it all. We're leaning on the documented experiences of Milan, a UTRG VPA student who completely laid out this journey for us. And look, we aren't just talking about the shiny highlight reel of graduation day here. No, we're talking about the scrubs hanging on the door, the heavily coffee-fueled laptop setups, cracking open those massive medical textbooks at 2 a.m. This explainer is all about the real side of becoming a physician assistant, the lifestyle, the motivation, the raw, gritty survival of it all. Section 1. The Pre-PA Struggle, Facing the Trials. To fully appreciate the finish line, we first have to acknowledge the starting line. Getting into PA school? Yeah, it is definitely not a walk in the park. It's a monumental hurdle. It's this true trial by fire that quite honestly weeds out anyone who isn't 100% committed. It's this exhausting chronological timeline. It starts with the long nights, just hours upon hours of grinding through anatomy and poring over notes. Then comes the testing phase, packed with those incredibly stressful exams. Once you somehow survive that, you enter the grueling submission phase, compiling these massive, complex applications. And finally, the selection phase with those high-stakes interviews. It's a literal marathon, and man, it requires an incredible amount of endurance. And, through all those long nights and stressful exams, a pretty heavy psychological toll takes hold. Milan's documentation of this journey really hits on the inevitable self-doubt that creeps in. Those thoughts of, am I actually good enough? Will I even get in? Listen, if you're in that pre-PA phase right now and you're feeling overwhelmed or like you're an imposter, you need to know that is completely normal. It is totally expected. It's just part of the trial. Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds. A blueprint for PA school, finding the solution. But hey, the struggle is really only the first part of the story. Once you actually get that acceptance letter, how do you manage the massive avalanche-like workload? Well, Milan gives us an incredibly clear, structured solution. It's the core life cycle of PA training, broken down step by step. Step 1 is all about study strategies. This is your classroom phase. Milan leveraged these highly customized, super color-coded iPad notes just to efficiently digest mountains of didactic info. Then, Step 2 shifts gears into clinical rotations. This is where your textbook knowledge meets real-world UTRGV patients. And honestly, you need entirely different on-the-floor survival skills for this part. Finally, Step 3 is pants prep. This means diving into highly targeted question banks and using spaced repetition to gear up for the ultimate board exam. You really have to conquer each of these distinct phases sequentially. Now, to actually survive those 3 steps, Milan built a very specific survival toolkit. We're talking PA school vlogs to show what a true day in the life actually looks like, study with me sessions to keep you accountable during those brutal late nights, and medical education videos to break down the absolutely toughest anatomical concepts. Plus, clinical tips for when you're out in the field, and time-blocking productivity hacks to manage your incredibly precious schedule. Surrounding yourself with practical tools like these, that is how you build a community and keep yourself moving forward. But hold on, here is a vital comparison we absolutely cannot ignore. You can have literally all the productivity hacks in the world, but if you only focus on academic rigor, you are gonna crash hard. What makes Milan's documentation of the UTRGV-PA journey so incredibly valuable is the heavy emphasis on honest balance. It's about having those real, sometimes super difficult conversations about managing burnout. It's about figuring out how to maintain your motivation and actually prioritize your lifestyle, like, still making time to hit the gym, while somehow surviving the academic chaos. You have to balance the two. It's not optional. Section 3, One Step at a Time, The Return. And this brilliantly illustrates the mental framework that ties the whole shebang together. How do you maintain the stamina to see this blueprint through to the very end? Well, it boils down to one core motivational message. Quote, one exam, one application, and one step at a time can completely change your future. When you look at the entire mountain of PA school or that massive list of prerequisites, it is completely paralyzing. But when you zoom in and break it down into just a single step, just this one exam, just this one application, suddenly it becomes manageable. It becomes something you can actually conquer today. The truth here is undeniable. The process is difficult. The late nights are real, the moments of crushing self-doubt, very real. But the flip side of that truth is just as important, if not more so. It is entirely possible. Every single challenge you face on this road, every nerve-wracking interview, every grueling clinical rotation, it's teaching you something crucial. It's building the exact resilience you are absolutely going to need when you're out there finally practicing medicine. Which brings us right back to you. We've explored the struggles, that crucial three-step blueprint of customized study, clinicals, and PANCE prep, and the toolkit you need to survive it all. So now the ball is in your court. What will your next one step be in your healthcare journey? Will it be adjusting your study strategy today? Maybe reaching out to someone for clinical tips? Or honestly, just finding a bit of honest balance to keep that burnout at bay? Whatever it is, take that step. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, Focus Learners. Keep pushing forward, and I'll see you next time.